Cleveland has won the toss, so Cincinnati will kick it off with the veteran Shane Graham. Graham missed a 37-yard field goal last week in the third quarter, and the dangerous Joshua Cribbs. Big performance the first time these two teams played. 223 return yards for Cribbs in that 23-20 loss. We're underway, the 73rd edition of the Battle of Ohio. And this one will take a roll into the end zone and touched up there. Cribbs misjudged it. It's a touchback. Browns will have it at the 20 to start play here at Paul Brown Stadium. Lewis in the backfield. He's had big games against the Bengals in his career, but most of those came as a member of the Baltimore Ravens. Fake the handoff. On a throw, Chris Jennings. And Jennings picks up 4 yards on first down. Lewis now back there on a 2nd and 6 for the Browns. Motion man is Gaines, the veteran, now in his 6th year from Central Florida. 2 wide receivers for Quinn to work with. And off, Lewis, tippy toes to the line of scrimmage, met by Dhani Jones. It's a gain of 2 on the play, and it sets up 3rd down for Cleveland. On a 3rd and 4, Harrison checks in as a 3rd down back, and a full receiver set for Quinn. Crowd is loud early. Quinn, protection holds up and fires in stride for Chancey Stuckey. And the former Jet is spilled out into Cincinnati territory. A strike from Quinn to Stuckey, covering 24 yards.
Well, this is what you want to see from Brady Quinn. His best game last week as a pro. Now he needs to follow it up here today with another solid performance. Good protection. Nice throw on the seam route, giving Stuckey a chance inside there before the safety can come over and make the play.
Cleveland Browns very effective last week going no huddle against Detroit. Eric Mangini telling us we're basically going to go no huddle the entire day if it's working. On a first down, he's ruled down at midfield. Lewis goes in motion, and Quinn, timing pattern up top, and knocked away. Massaquoi, the intended receiver, in a matchup with Leon Hall. Out there on the corner, Chris Crocker helping as well. And Rich, there's one thing about having young corners in the NFL. As they get experience, they become older, experienced corners, and they grow together, and that's what this group has done.
Yeah, Leon Hall and Jonathan Joseph both have had solid years, but not a good decision by Brady Quinn to start. Leon Hall had help over the top. They were in 2 deep coverage. Poor choice to start the game by Brady Quinn.
On a 2nd and 10 for Quinn and the Browns. He threw for 304 yards last week, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Career highs in every category for Quinn. Running play, and it's Lewis trying to drive forward. He picks up 3 yards on the play.
And this is where I've seen the most improvement from this Cincinnati defense over the years. This group has gotten really good under Mike Zimmer, their defensive coordinator, at stopping the run. They're currently 2nd. They've held opponents under 100-yard rushing for 6 consecutive games. They have been great in their run defense.
Zimmer told us that on tape it looked like Quinn was trying to get rid of the football quicker, and he seemed to have a better feel for where things were coming from last week against Detroit on a 3rd and 7.
I think this speaks volumes of the fact that Brady Quinn is able to handle this no-huddle offense.
Look out, couldn't get rid of it that time. Morgan Trent on a corner blitz.
Well, one of the things with your Brady Quinn, you got to make sure that you're square in terms of the protection scheme. You're going to see Morgan Trent. He comes right off the slot. Brady Quinn never feels him. That ball has to come out quickly.
So the Browns are forced to punt with Reggie Hodges, journeyman, who has stepped in for the injured Dave Zastudil. Zastudil out for the season with a right knee injury. Quan Cosby, the return man. This one takes a roll into the end zone, and the Bengals will have it at the 20. Cedric Benson out with a hip flexor, missing back-to-back games. Didn't play last week in the loss to Oakland, but the Bengals still had 177 yards rushing, 348 total yards of offense. Not enough against the Raiders. On first down from the 20. Palmer to throw, and slings it over the middle to Lavernius Coles. It's a 5-yard gain for Cincinnati. Mike Adams there defensively for Cleveland. Coles may have been dinged up on the play, headed to the sideline on a 2nd and 5. Handoff to Bernard Scott. Scott fumbles the football. And knocked out of bounds. Zigzag move by the rookie Bernard Scott. He had it knocked out of there by Cameron Wimbley. And Cincinnati fortunate. It's a 3.5 yard gain for Scott.
Well, when you watch him run, he wants to test the edge of a defense, but right here he never feels Wimbley on his back shoulder there, and he comes in and gets the strip. He's very fortunate that ball goes out of bounds.
Bernard Scott last week, 119 yards on the ground, the first Bengals rookie to rush for over 100 since Corey Dillon back in 1997 on a 3rd and 1. And Scott leaning forward. It should be enough for a first down. Play fake on first down. Palmer gets rid of it. A flag down. A dump ball for Jeremy Johnson, the fullback. And a 5-yard gain for Cincinnati. Penalty marker thrown as Matt Roth makes the play for Cleveland. We'll tell you about his story coming up. Mike Carey is our referee.
Holding, defense, number 20. 24, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Mike Adams getting the start. Brandon McDonald has been sent to the second unit. Handoff. It's Bernard Scott out across the 40-yard line for a 6-yard gain. And Cincinnati moving the football. Kenyon Coleman making the stop for Cleveland. On a toss for Bernard Scott. And Scott with a head of steam trying to get to the outside. He's thrown down just short of the marker. 2.5-3-yard gain. David Bowens making that play for the Browns. 9:02 and counting left in this first quarter.
One of the reasons you're seeing a lot of perimeter runs early in this game, they want to make sure they get the nose tackle. Sean Rogers moving around a lot early in this football game. That's going to be important. They want to slow him down, and they're going to use the cadence. Carson Palmer said the screen game helps slow him down, and certainly perimeter runs to get him moving laterally early in games.
Well, no Cedric Benson. Opportunity here for Larry Johnson, his first play of the game for Cincinnati on a 3rd and a long one. Johnson finds a hole. And a juke move into Cleveland territory. Bobby Williams with a good block. Johnson turns it upfield for a 10-yard pickup.
And this is what Larry Johnson can do. He's very good at running between the tackles. He can run with some power, a bigger back than what they're accustomed to here in Cincinnati. And Ian, they told us last night they have a package of plays that he has a history and familiarity with from his days in Kansas City.
And Marvin Lewis telling us that the players have done a good job reaching out to Johnson, making him feel comfortable. Carson Palmer and Ocho Cinco and even Cedric Benson. Larry could take some carries away from Benson over the course of this season into the postseason. Handoff, and Johnson breaking tackles. Larry Johnson across the 35. 12-yard gain for Johnson, the two-time Pro Bowler in 05 and 06, getting a fresh start in Cincinnati.
Well, it's amazing. You're trying to get him, as you said, more comfortable in the system and with the terminology in just a few short weeks so that he can contribute more. He's going to get some carries today against the Browns.
Johnson, a first-round draft pick back in 2003. Off-the-field issues, legal troubles with Kansas City. They gave him his walking papers. He emerges here with the Bengals. Bernard Scott is back in a double tight end set. 7 plays so far, 6 running plays. Palmer in trouble, and he is dumped at the 38-yard line by Matt Roth. He's been with the team 4 days, and Roth making a play for the Browns defensively.
Boy, it didn't take him too long to get comfortable. You're going to see him right at the top of the screen. But clearly he gets upfield, and it's amazing. I mean, he got here on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. He was able to practice a little bit. He doesn't know the entire system in terms of the terminology. They said they're going to throw him out there, let him play. Rob Ryan said, hey, he's one of our best players already.
Waived by the Miami Dolphins, a 2nd-round pick back in 2005 in his 5th year out of Iowa. Handoff, it's Scott, and he's trampled down at the 35-yard line, a 3-yard gain. Cameron Wimbley, first man there for Cleveland.
Well, it's been a disappointing week for the Browns defensively. They played very well 2 weeks ago against Baltimore on Monday night. They took a step back last week, and that was disappointing, as Rob Ryan said. Really probably their worst performance of the year defensively against Detroit. They need to clean things up on the defensive side. I think that starts with communication at every level of this defense. Just too many missed assignments and mental errors last week.
And a quick snap on a 3rd and 11. Comeback route. It's complete. Ocho Cinco. And it's right at the marker.
Well, they're going to work on Brandon McDonald, and he has been a little inconsistent this season. He's struggled some. We talked with Carson Palmer last night. He really felt like that was the matchup that they could take advantage of early in this game.
And it is enough for a first down. They'll give him forward progress, although McDonald forced him out of bounds well shy of the first down line. 5:25 to play in this first quarter.
Well, that just kills you. When you can't get off the field, when you have a team pinned back in a 3rd and long situation, boy.
Bengals got a very good spot on that play and a new set of downs to work with. 1st and 10 at the 24 for Cincinnati. Running play. And Larry Johnson banged down as he picks up 2 yards. Alex Hall, first man there for Cleveland. Had a penalty marker on the play. You and I met with Johnson early in the season when he was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. He had trimmed down. He had bought into the philosophy.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 83 covered up an eligible receiver, making him ineligible. 85. 5-yard penalty is still a first down.
Well, we know who 85 is. That's Ocho Cinco. It just seemed that Johnson and Todd Haley never quite meshed. Running game was struggling. Johnson was getting frustrated. And then it spilled over into his Twitter account. That's not good for anybody. And the Chiefs decided to make a change and put an end to it.
Yeah, I think that they got tired of his shenanigans there in Kansas City, and he burnt one too many bridges. And I think it's a good opportunity for him to kind of jumpstart his career, come here. Pressure's not on him to learn this system and make some contributions early.
Here comes the blitz. Bengals handle it. Palmer overthrows Lavernius Coles. Yeah, Palmer thought that Coles was going to go out towards the sideline, and Coles just stayed where he was. Now, this is not something that Carson Palmer is accustomed to. 81 straight passes without a touchdown. That's the 2nd longest streak right now in the NFL. Baltimore with 87.
Well, you know, they failed to score more than 18 points in 6 of the last 7 games. They've been winning some games, but they've not by a lot.
Shotgun formation. Set up the screen for Johnson, and he gets caught. Jason Trusnick, who came over in that Braylon Edwards deal with the Jets, and it's a loss of 1 on the play. There are guys getting chances that normally would not get the opportunities because of injury and personnel moves. Trusnick is one of those players benefiting from playing time.
Yeah, a lot of movement at the linebacker position. Obviously, the injury to DeQuell Jackson and Eric Barton hurt this linebacking core in Cleveland. They have had a lot of different players. Trusnick has been outside. They're going to move him inside a little bit. You got Matt Roth, who just came on Thursday, as we talked about, from Miami. So a lot of change there. You have to worry about the communication and the continuity with that linebacking core.
4 receivers set on a 3rd and 16. Purify is checked in for the Bengals. Palmer out of the pocket, and Palmer diving forward out across the 20-yard line. A risky play by Carson Palmer. Remember when these two teams first met, it was Palmer who created with his legs in overtime to keep the drive going and set up the game-winning field goal.
And he's done a much better job of this year, stepping up in the pocket and using his legs sometimes to pick up some key first downs. Doesn't get one there, but it certainly helps his field goal kicker, Shane Graham, with some much-needed yardage. And
Graham this season is 12 of 17. He's had some rocky spots this year, normally reliable now in his 9th year. 37-yard attempt. Bengals looking to get on the board first. And Graham drills it. 3-0 Cincinnati. 14-play, 61-yard drive. It took 8 minutes and 48 seconds. Larry Johnson featured on that drive for Cincinnati. 3-0, Bengals in front. They will kick it off to Joshua Cribbs, and this was a very large part of their conversation this week, not allowing this man to be a major factor.
Yeah, Joshua Cribbs had a field day last game against these guys in the return game. Shane Graham, both kickers for the Bengals. Marvin Lewis told us last night, ball placement's going to be very important. We can't give up field position plays in the kicking game against the Browns.
Touchback On the last kick, Cribbs is going to return this one 3 yards deep in the end zone. Cribbs unable to get to the perimeter. And Maurice Purify. 1 versus 2, Florida, Alabama. Andre Smith, Alabama product. Andre Caldwell, Florida guy. We'll have it for you here on CBS. Winner will play for the national championship. 1st and 10 for Cleveland on a handoff for Chris Jennings. He's the rookie out of Arizona, signed as a free agent. Ray Maualuga makes the play. The linebacker limits Jennings to a 3-yard gain on 1st down.
Well, the Browns have really struggled running the football this year. You know, you look at their production, not a lot of it. None of their running backs has a rushing touchdown, and none of them are averaging any more than 3.7 a rush. They need to get more production early in games.
They're averaging only 11.5 points per game. That's after putting up 37 last week. By far their best offensive showing of the season. 2nd and 7 now for Cleveland. Lewis back in there. He's got a hole. And Lewis with a spin move out to the 30-yard line. Jamal Lewis, 9 career 100-yard rushing games against Cincinnati. 15 career games against the Bengals. He averages just under 114 yards per game, but most of that damage done as a member of the Baltimore Ravens.
You look at that 2,500 carries over his 10-year career. I'd want to retire as well. A lot of wear and tear on his body. You just think of how many times he's been hit and tackled in this league.
Pro Bowl in 2003 and 2007. Comes out on 3rd down. It's a 3rd and 1. They'll give it to Cribbs. And Cribbs didn't get there. Needed a yard. Jonathan Fanene makes the play defensively.
Well, I don't understand that. You take one of your better backs, Jamal Lewis, a banger, off the field, and you hand the ball to Joshua Cribbs on a 3rd and 1 situation. You try a little trickery. I don't understand it. I don't know why you wouldn't leave a guy like Jamal Lewis in there, bring in Lawrence Vickers, the big fullback, and run downhill to try and make a yard.
Reggie Hodges will punt it. Quan Cosby standing at his own 24-yard line for Cincinnati. Hodges formerly with the Rams, Philadelphia, the Jets, Tennessee. Cosby breaks 1 tackle as he crosses the 35-yard line. Brandon McDonald wraps him up. And back here in Cincinnati, apparently that guy ripped that phone out of his kitchen to bring here to the game. You don't see phones like that anymore. Palmer throwing on 1st down. Underneath, he makes the connection with J.P. Fauci, former Raider and Kansas City Chief. Now in his 3rd year out of Georgia Tech. Give him a gain of 6 on the play. One of the toughest teams to figure out in the NFL, the Houston Texans.
1-14 all time against the Colts. Well, that would be a huge win for them today.
Handoff to Bernard Scott, met by Robert Smith. It's a 4-yard gain. Well, you want to talk about big? Andre Smith, 6'4", 335 pounds, the Outland Trophy winner. Contract holdout, then signed, then fractured his left foot in camp. Palmer steps up, and Palmer running again. Angled out of bounds. Carson Palmer as Jason Trusnick gave chase. Eric Mangini told us Palmer won't run as much as Ben Roethlisberger, but he'll run more than guys like Brady and Manning. They're aware of it.
I'll tell you what, he looks quicker to me. Now, it's amazing. I've watched Carson Palmer play for a long time, but he looks more explosive, and he's very decisive. He does a nice job anticipating when the pressure around him begins to become a problem, stepping up in the pocket, making some plays.
On a 2nd and 4. Hand off. And Scott, short side of the field. He just didn't have room to work with. Cedric Benson missing back-to-back weeks with a hip flexor. Marvin Lewis telling us they felt good about it on Friday, even after he practiced, but just didn't feel right about activating him this week. Palmer throwing. High throw, and should have been intercepted. He was looking for Coles. Brodney Poole, who leads the Cleveland Browns in picks with 4, had a shot at it. And the punt from Kevin Huber. We asked Cleveland offensive coordinator Brian Dable where has he seen improvement from Brady Quinn. He told us his ability to stay calm is much improved. And now he's throwing it where he's supposed to throw it, making the right reads, at least last week against Detroit. Quinn so far today, 2 of 3, 28 yards. 1st and 10 at the 11.
Yeah, he's going to run it here.
Check off to a running play. It's Chris Jennings. Flag is down. And Jennings is buried behind the line of scrimmage by Brandon Johnson, the 4th-year linebacker, formerly with the Arizona Cardinals, stepping in for the injured Keith Rivers.
Offside, defense number 90, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
And Rivers is out with a calf injury.
A real good indicator that it was going to be a run there. And you look at the secondary, particularly the safeties, and they have a 2-deep safety look. That tells you right now there's going to be 6 in the box. And that's an advantageous look for Brady Quinn in the offense. They want to run the ball against a 6-man box. They want to throw it versus a 7-man box.
1st and 5 for the Browns, just underway here in the 2nd quarter. Jennings will flex out as a wide receiver, and Quinn will operate from the gun. Here comes the rush. Quinn gets rid of it. That catch is made by Stuckey. Spun down by Ndukwe. Play was finally whistled dead. Short of the marker, 4-yard gain. Tell me about the no-huddle offense. What are the positives for Cleveland in trying to adopt this no-huddle?
Well, there's a number of things. Certainly the up-tempo pace is important. There's more responsibility on the quarterback. But what it does is it limits substitutions from the defense. It limits the volume of pressures, and it makes it tough on a defensive coordinator to he has to speed up his process in terms of making his calls. So it really puts the pressure on a defense.
2nd and 1. Gaines is the motion man. On a handoff, it's Jennings. Bulldozing his way very close to a 1st down. He was met by Ndukwe. So Chinadum and Ndukwe, good storyline with Brady Quinn. These guys go way back, and in fact, Quinn said it was Ndukwe who got signed by Notre Dame, offered a scholarship, and then Ndukwe encouraged his high school teammate Brady Quinn to make a visit to South Bend. Quinn does, has a good meeting with Tyrone Willingham. He gets offered a scholarship, and the rest is history. Quinn also had some thoughts on Charlie Weiss. We'll tell you about that over the course of the day. Tough loss against Stanford last night. Quinn throwing. High throw. Incomplete. Handoff. Harrison is in there. And Harrison had a big day the last time these two teams played. Rushed for 121 yards in the first meeting. Only 73 yards since that meeting, which was back in week 4. 6-yard gain.
Just keep an eye on all the orange jerseys that get to the ball here. Just look at them all come across the screen here. They do a good job in their pursuit. They take good angles, but I'll tell you what, when you put the tape on, this Cincinnati defense, they play hard every play. They don't take plays off.
3rd and 4. Harrison back there.
Well, you can see Brady Quinn, a lot of communication there. Brady Quinn very involved in the declarations and the protection calls up front.
And they protect him on a 3rd and 4. Incomplete. Diving attempt by Stuckey. He couldn't haul it in. And the Browns will punt.
Well, this is where they were really good last week on 3rd down, and he was making these throws. Today, he's missed a number of throws in critical situations. You know, you think about last week, and they finally put it all together. Offensively, they scored more points. They scored 37 points than they had scored in the previous 5 games combined. And Eric Mangini said, we hope we're not a one-hit wonder. We hope we can duplicate that same performance here today.
3 possessions, 3 punts. Only 14 plays. Hodges punting to Cosby. And Cosby is spun down short of the 35-yard line by Blake Costanzo. 50-yard punt. Cincinnati Bengals chance to finish undefeated in the AFC North for the first time in franchise history. On 1st down. Drop ball, Lavernius Coles. Coles with 30 catches this season. Coverage there from Eric Wright. And the Bengals having a tough time getting their passing game going here in the first half.
Yeah, big problem is Carson Palmer hasn't been able to set his feet. Every time he gets to the top of his drop, he's having to step up inside that pocket because the Browns are doing a good job getting some pressure off the edge.
In his career against the Cleveland Browns, 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Only threw for 207 yards last week. In fact, his numbers are not eye-popping by any stretch this season. Handoff, Larry Johnson busting through to the second level. Good block from Jeremy Johnson. It's a 13-yard gain for Larry Johnson. Well, let's take you back to the collegiate days of Carson Palmer and Larry Johnson. 2002 Heisman Trophy voting. Palmer won it. Johnson finished third. Brad Banks of Iowa finished second that year. Banks had a tryout with the Washington Redskins. Never made it to the NFL. Did play in the CFL for a number of seasons. 50th consecutive sellout for the Bengals here at Paul Brown Stadium. Been one of the bigger surprises in the NFL this year at 7-3. Cincinnati with a 3-0 lead. Ball on the 47-yard line and a 1st and 10 for the Bengals. Larry Johnson in the backfield. He has seen a lot of action so far in this first half. Handoff, Johnson. He's got a running lane. And Johnson with a spin move into Cleveland territory to the 46-yard line. That's a 7-yard run for Johnson, who has looked very fresh here today. How surprised are you that the standings look like this at this stage of the game?
I don't think it's hard to figure out why this team is 7-3 to top this division. I mean, a healthy Carson Palmer. They've been able to run the ball with Cedric Benson. Of course, he's not available today. And then the other thing is their ability to stop the run. They're second in run defense. That's how you get atop the AFC North.
42 yards rushing for Johnson so far. And keep it on the ground. It's Johnson again with a stutter step move, and he's got a first down. Out near the 40-yard line, 4-yard gain.
You go back to the standings. The Bengals really caught a break last week with Pittsburgh and Baltimore both losing. In fact, last Sunday marked the first time that all 4 AFC North teams lost on the same day since NFL realignment to 8 divisions. If you go back to 2002. How about that nugget?
Very good nugget. We know that can't happen this week because they're playing each other. Palmer gets hit and hit hard. Cameron Wimbley with a shot. It's incomplete. And look out for the Miami Dolphins.
10-yard penalty. Loss of down. Second down.
Intentional grounding the call. Palmer just chucked it upstairs just before he was hit. And the officials felt there was nobody even close to the area that he was throwing it.
Boy, he is getting rushed, doing a good job. Look at Roth right there at the top of the screen. He's going to walk Dennis rolling right back into him. You see the pressure. He actually throws it out to the flat. And you can see Ocho Cinco, who was further down the field. Good call by the officials. I've been really impressed with this Browns defense so far here in the first half. They've done a nice job getting upfield, getting some pressure on Carson Palmer.
Well, Rob Ryan, he looked at the tape from last week, and he told us last night it made him sick to his stomach.
Well, I think the keys today for this football team, they have to be able to stop the run. That's really where it starts defensively. The other thing is they have to find a way to get off the field on third down. What did Rob tell us? The other thing, limit the explosive plays, which have really hurt this defense.
2nd and 20 now for Cincinnati after the penalty. Double tight end set with Coates and Fashi. Palmer to throw, gets rid of it. Low throw in the direction of Lavernius Coles. And now a 3rd and 20 for Cincinnati from the gun. Palmer steps up. Palmer, a flag thrown, and incomplete. He tossed it over the middle, up for grabs. Lavernius Coles over there. Brian Leonard in the area as well.
Holding. Offense number 74 is declined. 4th down.
And that's Dennis Rowland. Holding is declined as it was an incomplete pass.
Look, you can just have a 3-man rush right here. It's amazing. They're getting it done with the 3-man rush. Nice job by Rodgers inside. Pressure off the edge. Corey Williams. That's been the difference so far in the game. They're getting pressure with that front.
Well, they rotate those 6 defensive linemen: Smith, Rodgers, Coleman, Mosley, Rubin, and Corey Williams. Kevin Huber has had an excellent rookie season, averaging 44 yards per kick. Handles that snap. And Joshua Cribbs waiting for it. This kick sails to the end zone, a touchback. So the Browns will have it at the 20. 8:45 to go, second quarter. Bengals lead it 3-0. Cleveland takes over at the 20. Stutter step. Jamal Lewis trying to push the pile. And Lewis gains 3 on first down for Cleveland. Quinn, play fake. Over the middle. Unable to complete it. He had a standia with Dhani Jones there, the linebacker, dropping back in coverage.
Well, it's a really nice play by Dhani Jones. Not fooled by the play action, knows right where his assignment is. And you can see Brian Dable over there, their offensive coordinator. They're 31st in offense right now, the first-time play caller. It's not been an easy season for him. They've really struggled to find their identity on offense. Changes at the quarterback position. They traded away 2 of their better players, Winslow and Edwards. They've had a number of key injuries, and some young receivers makes it very difficult to call plays in this league.
3rd and 7 now for the Browns. Crowd has been charged up from the very start. Quinn to throw. Almost intercepted. Chris Crocker had it. And the Browns forced to punt off the deflection.
Boy, you just can't miss receivers on the back shoulder. And this is how you throw interceptions in the National Football League. Good protection up front. He's got plenty of time. He's working Stuckey right there in the slap. But look, back shoulder. Should he make the catch? Absolutely. But I put that on the quarterback. We talk about location being so important. You have to be precise with your location.
4th punt already for Reggie Hodges. And Quan Cosby should have an opportunity at a return here. Cosby ranging over this one towards the sideline, and Hodges does his job to not allow Cosby to get his hands on it. Cincinnati Bengals with 101 yards of offense. The Browns have 49, and we've got 7:48 to go in this first half. Ian Eagle, Rich Gannon, the rest of our CBS crew on a first down for Cincinnati. Handoff to Bernard Scott. And Scott takes it up the middle. A flag comes down as he hits the 40-yard line. It's a 3-yard gain. Jeremy Johnson was in there. Might have been holding.
Offense number 62. 10-yard penalty is still first.
Now take your pick. Nate Livings was the guilty party, the left guard. Now in his 2nd year from LSU. These are not big-name offensive linemen for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I'll tell you what, this offensive line has been a real bright spot, though, for this offense. I mean, you think about it, it includes 3 undrafted players in that front. They've done a great job in the running game, much better in terms of their pass protection this season, keeping Carson Palmer healthy back there. But they have their work cut out for them today. This guy right here in front, Sean Rogers, he is a load. It's a lot of work for Kyle Cook, their center, and Nate Livings, that left guard.
1st and 20 now for Cincinnati. And Bernard Scott bouncing off a tackler, and Scott keeps the legs churning. Impressive run by the rookie.
Well, I tell you what, that's devastating if you're the Cleveland Browns. You got a 1st and 20, and you give up a 20-yard rush like this right up the middle. Unbelievable. And that's one of the problems this defense has had. Too many explosive plays have really hurt them, not only the running game, but the passing game.
Abilene Christian, there's another running back that comes to mind going way back, and somebody that you actually grew up watching with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wilbert Montgomery.
Oh, you got it.
Yes,
not a bad guy to be connected with if you're Bernard Scott.
Good running back coach right now for the Baltimore Ravens.
Sure
as well.
is. Scott getting the call for a 2-yard gain. Now the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals, they've got a lot in common in addition to playing in the same state. Longest drought since last playoff victory. The Bengals back in 1990. Who was their starting quarterback?
Our guy.
I can't read the print.
Our very own Boomer Esiason.
Oh, I got you.
That's kind of surprising when you think about the fact Carson Palmer has been here a number of years now, and you would expect that he's probably going to get pretty close to winning one here soon, I would imagine.
Well, he got hit by Kimo von Oelhoffen,
Pittsburgh,
and that affected their plans as Scott tries the right side this time. And he's met by Kenyon Coleman and Matt Roth. How about the fact that Matt Roth is seeing as much time as he has seen so far, having arrived in camp on Thursday. He got invited for Thanksgiving dinner by Eric Steinbach. They both went to Iowa.
It's amazing. You know, I think it speaks volumes of where they are in terms of their roster. They're continuing to bring in players during the course of the season, and not only are they bringing them in, these players are winding up making plays and playing a lot in ball games. This is a roster that's been revamped a lot this season.
Players off the street with large rolls here today. Palmer throwing on third down out in the open is Chad Ochocinco. And he is thrown down just short of the 30-yard line. That one covers 16 yards. Extra lineman, it's Andre Smith. Handoff, Bernard Scott. Running lane for Scott to the 20-yard line and a first down for Cincinnati. That's a 12-yard rip for the rookie Scott.
Well, they're getting some movement right at the point. You're going to see him just getting pushed right there, getting doubles on the nose, and getting up on the linebackers. Nice job. And, you know, when I went back and studied the Cincinnati Bengals last week, the thing that really surprised me, they had 10 negative runs last week against the Raiders. 10 negative runs. They've eliminated that problem here today.
On a first down, just short of the 20-yard line and movement. Bobby Williams, the veteran guard.
73 offense, 5-yard penalties still first.
Well, Anthony Collins to the right of him. It was that right side that seemed to be off kilter.
Well, Bobby Williams is the only player along that offensive line that's in his original spot from last year. He's probably their most productive player, but it's a big group up inside. When we talked with Rob Ryan, that defensive coordinator for Cleveland, he said this is a bunch of maulers up front. They just want to get their hands on you in the running game and push you back.
74
Yeah, Cincinnati's only averaging 21.5 points per game. They're 16th in the league in that category. You look at their offense, you'd think it would be higher. Handoff, Scott busting it to the outside, unable to truly turn the corner. He didn't have the angle with Mike Adams. He does pick up 5 yards on the play.
Well, you know, you mentioned that. You know, Carson Palmer's had 13 straight games now without a 300-yard performance. And I think that's a good thing. I think finally they have some balance offensively, not putting up as many points as they would like, but I think that's a big reason why they're 7-3. They've been able to run the ball, they control field position, they keep their defense off the field, and certainly getting this guy back, Cedric Benson, would go a long way.
And they expect to have him back next week for a home game against Detroit. Benson among the league's leading rushers. Scott makes a cut, and nothing there. Rodney Poole fully prepared. It's a 2-yard gain for Scott, and the fans reacting off the conservative play call.
Well, you know what? You can say it's conservative, but they've already rushed for 128 yards in this game. They're going to wear down this Cleveland defense.
And an injury on the play for the Browns. Will come back and give you the update on that in a moment. Kenyon Coleman was the injured Brown. He was able to walk off the field. He's a Mangini guy going back to the Jets. Prior to that with the Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. C.J. Mosley, another former Jet, is now in for him. On 3rd and 8. Palmer throws out route and caught by Caldwell. Stood up after he got the first down. 11-yard gain. Clock continues to move as Caldwell stayed inbounds.
You're going to see Caldwell. He's going to be in the slot. They do a nice job clearing on the outside. Caldwell right here. He's just going to go up the field and run a little out route, but they do a nice job on the outside. You see Ochocinco. He clears out that flat area for Caldwell to make that catch.
1st and goal from the 7 for Cincinnati. Bengals trying to add to their lead. Handoff, Larry Johnson slicing his way up the middle, and he picks up 3 yards. Mike Adams, tough guy out of Delaware, making that play defensively.
He's a fighting blue hen. Mike Adams gives him a lot of flexibility in that secondary.
10th play of the drive for the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 minutes to go in this first half. They have a 3-0 lead. 2nd and goal just inside the 5. Fake the handoff. Palmer dumps it off. Johnson is brought down. So they'll gain about a yard on the play, if that. Jason Trusnick ranging over to make the play for Cleveland. Long drive. That's been the name of the game for the Cincinnati Bengals this season. 10-plus play drive, 22 this year. That's tied for 5th in the NFL. And often they cash them in for touchdowns.
Yeah, not only that, but that equates to time of possession, and Cincinnati dominating 19 minutes to Cleveland's 9 minutes, and also plays. They have 35 plays to Cleveland's 17, so this is going to become a problem in the second half.
On a 3rd and goal, shotgun formation. Palmer pumps. Palmer out of the pocket, throwing on the move. Touchdown! He threads the needle. J.P. Fashi, and the Bengals add to their lead.
Well, you talk about the scramble drill. That was a nice job by J.P. Fauci. You're going to see Carson Palmer move. Now watch him come back across and separate. Nice job following the quarterback and making yourself available. You see Carson Palmer, again, he's done a nice job getting outside the pocket, using his legs, keeping this play alive, and giving J.P. Fauci an opportunity in the end zone.
Shane Graham on for the extra point. 11 plays, 63 yards. Now, J.P. Fauci has worked very hard to maintain a spot in the NFL. He's with practice squads with the Jets. Denver, Minnesota, was on the active roster with Oakland and Kansas City. And Palmer able to connect with the tight end Fauci, originally from Queens, New York, in his third year from Georgia Tech. Cincinnati with a 10-0 advantage over Cleveland with 1:10 to go, first half.
You know, it's amazing when you watch Carson Palmer, when things start to break down around him and get chaotic, he seems to be at his best. Very calm, cool, and collect in pressure situations.
Only 4 games last season for Carson Palmer, and what a difference you've seen in this team because of his presence and his leadership here in 09. Graham kicking off to Cribbs. Browns need some kind of jolt right now. Instead, it's Cribbs getting a jolt on special teams by Purify. 1:06 to go in the second quarter. Playoff picture in the AFC. Indianapolis undefeated right now at 10-0. Cincinnati currently has the number 2 seed, but they're in a battle with San Diego and New England. Wild card teams Denver and Jacksonville. Pittsburgh right now, the defending Super Bowl champions, are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you think about what they have ahead of them, and not only that, but Denver, boy, has a big win the other night against the Giants to put the brakes on that 4-game losing streak.
And no Ben Roethlisberger. Dennis Dixon will make his first NFL start out of Oregon at quarterback for Pittsburgh because of the concussion. Quinn set up the screen. It's Jerome Harrison. Harrison tries to scoot forward. He's held to no gain on the play. Brandon Johnson touched him up for Cincinnati.
Boy, nice job by Brandon Johnson, who's filling in for Keith Rivers, who's out with that calf injury. But boy, that's a sign of a good defense when you have players who are out, who are not available. Young players like Brandon Johnson can step in and keep things going.
Quinn in the pocket, steps and throws. Low throw, it's incomplete. Chancey Stuckey, the intended target. And Brandon Johnson over there defensively.
Well, you know, you look at Brady Quinn so far in the first half, Ian, it looks completely different to me than he did last week. Last week, I just felt he looked comfortable under center. His footwork, his anticipation, his accuracy overall, I thought he was much more decisive. Today, he looks like the old Brady Quinn. He looks flustered. He doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. He's missing throws. The timing and the rhythm is off in the passing game.
3rd and 10. If it's a running play, Cincinnati has to call a timeout immediately. They'll have enough time to work with. And it will be a running play. Harrison brought down. And they use the timeout after the loss of 3. Frosty Rucker. 30 seconds left. And the Bengals are going to get the football back. Cleveland did absolutely nothing with that possession.
No, they've had a bunch of 3-and-outs. It's been a sloppy first half for Cleveland.
Eric Mangini's offense, 46 total yards. 20 plays for Cleveland. 5 drives. And this has been a major step backwards for the offense. Obviously, they're not going against the Detroit defense today. Better be careful here. Reggie Hodges punting out of his own end zone.
Oh, it's a returnable punt, too.
Quan Cosby. It's on Cleveland's side of the field before he even caught it. And he's brought down at the 40. A 38-yard punt, 9-yard return. Arnold Harrison making the play on special teams. Reggie Hodges comes in averaging under 40 yards per punt, 39.5. Zastudil, before the injury, was averaging 44.7. And now you give Carson Palmer 21 seconds to work with.
That's going to cost him 3 points right there. When you give Carson Palmer 21 seconds and a timeout left, all he has to do is pick up 7 or 8 yards. Well, that's going to get done.
Knee injury for Kenyon Coleman. His return is questionable. If they pick up 7 yards here, you're looking at a 50-yard field goal. Shotgun formation.
Look for him to work down inside.
Palmer timing play, out route. Almost caught by Ocho Cinco. Brandon McDonald, good defense from the inconsistent McDonald there.
Well, this is a tough one. Look, Brandon McDonald is going to have help over the top. It's his two deep coverage. See him trailing? He's trailing on purpose because he knows he has a safety to help. Tough ball to fit in on the boundary. You can see right there Brodney Poole coming in late. Very difficult throw and catch for Carson Palmer.
And that took 6 seconds off the clock. 15 seconds remain in this first half. 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati. Bengals do have one more timeout to work with.
Keep an eye on Brian Leonard out of the backfield.
Palmer looks over there.
He's looking for him.
Oh, he's buried. And the Browns defense making a play. Huge play as Cameron Wimbley gets the sack. And only 7 seconds left in the second quarter. They'll use their final timeout.
You go back and look at the game last time these two teams got together. I thought the Browns played pretty well on defense in that first minute. They forced 9 3-and-outs during the course of the game. They stopped them 4 times in overtime, yet still lost that game. So they certainly could draw on some of those experiences. I felt like they frustrated Cincinnati most of the day, but Cincinnati was able to pull it out at the end in overtime. But not a lot of help on the offensive side of the ball in that game.
You know, on that last play, Rich, you made a great point that Leonard would be the guy. His route was disrupted because of the pressure from Wimbley, so it was almost doing 2 jobs on the same play for Cameron Wimbley. He got the sack, and he got Leonard out of the mix. And now Cleveland will take a timeout after they took a look at the Cincinnati offense. They're staring at about a 12-yard gain if you even want to try.
Yeah, well, with 8 seconds and no timeouts, if the ball gets completed in the field of play, the half is over. So you got to be smart here. You got to try and attack the boundary. If you can pick up 15 yards, you give your kicker Shane Graham at least a look at it.
Graham's longest kick this year is 50. His career long is 53, set back in 2004. Went to the Pro Bowl in 2005 when he put up a franchise record 131 points. So the line of scrimmage is the 49. Again, it would have to be a sideline route and a quick duck out of bounds.
You can see the Browns guard for it. They have 3 defenders on that boundary. They want to let him complete it in the middle of the field of play.
And Palmer thrown down. Horse collar.
Well, they're going to get one more shot at it.
Sean Rogers.
The play clock is out, but the half can't end on a defensive penalty.
Now Palmer's teammates come over, trying to check on him, and now they'll help him up. I don't know if he got the wind knocked out of him. I'll tell you what, on the previous play, Palmer looked a little bit frazzled as he came to the sideline. If it's a 15-yard penalty, you're looking at a 52-yard field goal.
Yeah, you just see right there, big Sean
Personal
Rogers
foul.
doing everything he can just to get
Horse
Carson
collar.
Palmer to the ground.
Defense number 92, 15 yards, automatic first down, and will extend the half with an untimed down.
Boy, that's huge. As you said, Ian, that 15-yard penalty now will give him a shot at a 52-yarder. And well, you would have been better off if you were Sean Rogers to let him continue to run around that corner there.
Yeah, he was just angling towards the sideline. Either way, the half was going to come to an end.
But, you know, it's hard to fault a defensive player. They're doing everything in their power, and they're taught to, to make tackles, and they're just trying to reach out and get any part of the jersey. You can see right there, Eric Mangini not happy about that, but clearly, when you look at the rules, you can't grab a player like that by the back, the shoulder pads or that upper part of his jersey and pull him down.
Eric Mangini has seen more things happen to his team this year than he ever could have anticipated. That was as strange an ending to a game as you'll find last week. This is a strange ending to the first half. They made the plays. It was over. Palmer is angling towards the out-of-bounds line. Instead, it's a 53-yard attempt with no time remaining. Shane Graham trying to give Cincinnati a 13-0 lead. Graham sweeps the leg. And he's got it from 53 yards away. He matches a career long. The Cincinnati Bengals with a 13-0 lead over the Cleveland Browns as we welcome you back inside Paul Brown Stadium. Ian Eagle along with Rich Gannon. The story in the first half, Cleveland's lack of offense and the Cincinnati running attack.
Clearly, Cleveland has to find a way here in the second half to get Brady Quinn comfortable. They need to pick up some big chunks of yards early in the second half.
Carson Palmer telling us that last week they just couldn't consistently overcome all of their mistakes. And he said he was not mentally prepared for a loss against the Raiders, considering the way that game went. A similar feeling here. It's not an overwhelming score, but they've dominated the action. Scott on the return for Cincinnati as he crosses the 20-yard line and a penalty marker down. Alex Hall making the play on special teams. Injured Brown Mike Adams.
Holding. Offense, number 59. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
And Brandon Johnson called on the hold. Adams being helped off by one of the trainers. So he will head to the sideline, and Brandon McDonald will step in at that cornerback position. Adams had supplanted McDonald as the starting quarter each of the last 2 weeks.
Well, we talk about adjustments at halftime. What does Cleveland have to do differently in the second half? They have to find a way to stop the run. It's been a big problem. They're 29th against the run. It's been a problem for them all year. That front seven, they have to find a way to make Carson Palmer beat you. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's what they have to do. The running game is absolutely killing them right now.
Motion man is Lavernius Coles, and they'll just keep it on the ground. Tripped up is Bernard Scott at the line of scrimmage. Looked like he fell down as he tried to work around Kyle Cook, the starting center. A gain of about a half a yard on the play.
Well, a lot of the problems defensively for the Browns have been self-inflicted wounds. When you talk to Eric Mangini, this defensive system, it's all about alignments, assignments, and adjustments, and you need to be on the same page with all three at each level of the defense. In the first half, clearly, that was not the case.
Call it second and a long 9. Ground game. And they'll keep pounding it, and Bernard Scott keeps doing the job. Another excellent run, very close to first down yardage. Give him a gain of 8 on the play.
Well, you see the first half possessions there. The things that jump out at me, the 14-play drive, the 11-play drive, they finished better there. Little tough spot there, those second and third drives, but boy, they really finished off the half on a positive note. That 11-play, 63-yard drive. I always think it's important as you come out in the second half, that first drive, you have a chance here to really put this team in a bad spot.
On a 3rd and 1, Johnson long strides, and he's got a first down. It's a 2-yard gain for Larry Johnson. If this team achieves everything that they believe they're capable of, do you see Larry Johnson having a big role in that?
I do. I think you can use a guy like him, and certainly Cedric Benson. Larry Johnson can have a specific series of plays. I think it can help you. 2 fresh backs, and of course, we can't forget Bernard Scott. They have a good situation now. That acquisition looks like a good one now, particularly with the injury to Cedric Benson.
51 yards rushing for Johnson, and Scott has 74. Give it to Scott. And a huge pile there as Scott carries just short of the 24-yard line. It's a 2-yard gain for Bernard Scott. Robert Smith, Cameron Wimbley in on that stop. Scott coming in with an average of 4.3 yards per carry. Division II product. He won the 2008 Harlan Hill Trophy as the most outstanding player in Division II football. And he bounced around. He was at Central Arkansas. He was at Blinn College. Finally found a home at Abilene Christian.
Just never think you can have enough running backs in the fold. I think that's important. They're all going to have specific roles in this system. Certainly when Cedric Benson gets back, he'll get the workload.
Running play again. Johnson running right up the middle and into the line for a gain of 2. Jason Trusnick, first man to greet him. And Scott went to the sideline. Medical staff is taking a look at him. Already down a running back. Cedric Benson out with a hip flexor. A lot of people around the NFL thought Benson would play. And Marvin Lewis making the decision that he'd rather have Benson at 100% next week as they take on the Detroit Lions. 3rd and 6. Still haven't thrown it on this series. First possession, 3rd quarter. Palmer from the gun. Rush coming. Palmer throws. And complete. Ocho Cinco. But a penalty marker. 2 of them back at the line of scrimmage. This one's coming back. Mike Carey will sort it out. That left side of the line held up.
Holding, offense number 77. 10-yard penalty is still third.
And that's why Andrew Whitworth, in his
Please
4th year in the NFL.
on the game clock.
Used to be the starting left guard, now in at left tackle this season.
We see Chad Ochocinco there frustrated. Did a nice job on that route, but boy, just don't give yourself any chance. You can continue to make penalties on 3rd down. And this was a problem for him last week. And we went back and watched that game. They were sloppy last week in that game against Oakland. The 8 penalties, the 4 turnovers. They gave up 3 sacks. Not good enough. You talked with Marvin Lewis. He was not happy with their performance. He was hoping they'd come out here today and take care of the penalties in this football game.
So now a 3rd and 16. Leonard will shift to the backfield. Palmer pumping and throwing on a screen for Leonard. Spin move down at the 21, and the Bengals will punt after the 6-yard gain. Abram Elam over there to make the tackle.
That's a good series for Rob Ryan and that defense. That's how you want to start the second half. Get off the field, give your offense some good field position. Of course, one of your best players right now on the field, Joshua Cribbs. This guy was the difference maker last time around, over 200 yards in the return game. Kevin Huber's done a nice job in this game positioning the ball. They've been kicking it towards the boundary.
Huber, that's a floater. And again, out of bounds. Cribbs doesn't even get an opportunity to touch it, but it will be solid field position. First possession, second half for the Cleveland Browns offense. Ball is on the 45-yard line with the Bengals in front, 13-0. Hank Fraley is in as an extra lineman. And Jamal Lewis in the backfield. He has 17 yards on the ground. Lewis bulldozing his way for a 5-yard pickup out to midfield. For the Browns,
ugly.
Yeah, recurring theme, punt.
Well, you look at that, first 5 drives, they've had 46 yards of offense and only 20 plays, and of those 20 plays, only 10 have gained yardage. So that's very inept offensively. You see Eric Mangini there, the frustration. Got to find a way to get something going here in the second half. Good field position. You have to take advantage of this opportunity. 2nd
and 5, Cribbs, the motion man. They fake it to him. The throw behind Harrison and incomplete. Ray Maualuga ended up being in the right spot and almost had a pick.
And we saw that play in the first half, Ian, and when you repeat plays with the similar formations, similar action, you see that defense for Cincinnati. They were not fooled at all. Ray Maualuga, the rookie linebacker, was right there for that one. And it's all about illusion and disguise offensively. You have to find creative ways, whether it's personnel, formations. You got to do some things to help your perimeter players.
And direct snap to Cribbs. He's looking to throw it. Quinn going out and hauls it in. Some trickery for the Cleveland Browns. There's the creativity you were looking for. It's an 18-yard gain through the air.
And when you're a 1-9 football team, you have to find some ways to generate some offense. Nice job. Better throw here, and Brady Quinn might score. I'll tell you what, it's a very nice play by Brandon Johnson. He might have saved the touchdown. But if you're the Bengals on defense, it's important to expect the unexpected with the 1-9 team. Trick plays, reverses, double passes, gadget plays in the kicking game. The Browns at 1-9 have nothing to lose.
First completion of the season for Cribbs, now 1 of 3 throwing the football. From the 32, Quinn fires, and lunging grab by Massaquoi. It's a clean catch for a first down. Boy, I don't know if that ball didn't hit the turf.
Boy, they better hurry up and get one snapped before they get a chance to look at it.
Well, they're trying.
Well, I really like this young player, Massaquoi. He's done a nice job. He's really come on. He's made a lot of plays the last couple of weeks.
And they snap it. Lewis gets the carry, and Lewis rumbles his way inside the 15. Michael Gaines with a good block. It's a 7-yard gain.
Boy, it'd be nice to get Jamal Lewis going here in the second half. I mean, he's one of those backs, as you know, Ian, the more carries he gets, he seems to get better late in games, more opportunities. He's had some of his best games as a pro against the Bengals, 15 career games He's averaged 114 yards a game. He needs his touches, though, here in the second half.
Fraley set up as a fullback. Now he'll go to the line of scrimmage. On a 2nd and 4. Motion man is Vickers.
Yeah, Mike Carey. I don't know, did Hank Fraley report or not? You have to report if you're Hank Fraley. And he's making that announcement, looks like, to the defense.
Number 66
is
reports
eligible.
as an eligible receiver.
Boy, you hate to disrupt the flow and pace of the game. And you see Brian Dable there, the offensive coordinator. He's trying to get him up on the line of scrimmage. He wants to get this play called and off before the Bengals have a chance to adjust.
2nd and 4. Running play, Lewis. Up the middle. And a little extra push should give him the first down.
Very rarely do you see Jamal Lewis get pushed backwards. He's always falling forward. He's always pushing that pile back at the end of runs.
Well, in his prime, he brought that punishing running style where he would dish out the physical confrontations.
The physical beatdowns. You know, you don't see him. You don't see as much with him on the perimeter. He doesn't trust his speed on the edge anymore.
1st and goal from the 10. Browns finally threatening on offense. And Lewis has nowhere to move. It's a 1-yard gain. Now Aluga with the tackle for Cincinnati.
Boy, I really like Ray Maluga, the rookie from USC. And he and Brian Cushing from Houston Texans. These two young players have really had great first seasons as professionals and both make a lot of plays. They play with a lot of energy. They always seem to be around the ball.
And Brandon Johnson injured on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal coming up with 7:07 to go in the 3rd. The Cleveland Browns face a 2nd and goal from the 9-yard line. They trail the Bengals 13-0. Clock is moving under 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Shotgun. Quinn will keep it himself right up the middle, and Quinn is in. Touchdown, Browns. Brady Quinn, a quarterback keeper for 9 yards.
Nice job there. Good job by the Browns staff. They're getting an empty backfield set. Brady's patient. They have the quarterback draw. You see the lineman downfield, Alex Mack. They get some good blocks, and that ball doesn't come out until clearly he's over the line. Touchdown, Browns. Nice job here by Brady Quinn, though, throwing his body in there for the touchdown.
First rushing touchdown of Brady Quinn's career. Cleveland with its first points of the day. And an extra point here from Phil Dawson makes it 13-7. 6:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. 8 plays, 55 yards for the Browns, a 9-yard touchdown for Brady Quinn.
Yeah, you know, you look at his numbers in the first half, I am 5 of 12 for 44 yards, so they're not getting a lot of plays through the air, but a nice job there creating some plays. They had Brady catch a ball, he ran for a score, and got to manufacture plays. Nice job creating some opportunities for this offense.
Phil Dawson will kick it off for Cleveland. They're right back in the game. Bernard Scott is deep for Cincinnati from the 1. Scott makes one man miss, makes another. And that cut down short of the 30-yard line by Arnold Harrison, the former Pittsburgh Steeler. Quinn fired up on that Cleveland sideline. You know, the rest of this season, obviously, Browns want to go out and get some victories, feel good about themselves, but they also have to evaluate whether or not Brady Quinn is the future of the team at quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to evaluate Brady Quinn along with the other players on this roster. And as I said, a lot of people playing for jobs, certainly Brady Quinn being one of them.
Larry Johnson is in at running back. Cincinnati's lead is now 6. Shotgun. Palmer throwing on first down. Catch made. Ocho Cinco. It's a first down and a flag thrown just short of the 40-yard line. 12-yard hookup.
Boy, it's subtle things that Chad Ochocinco does during the course of a route that really give you that separation. A good veteran move there, right? Look at that. Should be a little bicep work. Right at the end of the route, though, you see him laugh. This guy has fun playing the game. That's what I like about Chad.
There was no foul for face mask. All the action is legal. First down.
Ocho Cinco entered action today 360 yards away from 10,000 for his career.
Just watch him at the top of the route. Right here, he's going to start coming right back to the ball. See him? We talk about friendly angles before Abram Elam, the safety, can get there. That's a good play by a veteran receiver. We talk about angles being important. Carson Palmer certainly appreciates that.
Handoff, Larry Johnson emerging through that hole for a 5-yard gain. Boy, Johnson has been very effective today as Robert Smith made the hit for Cleveland.
You know, it's interesting. You look at the Bengals last year, obviously a disappointing year. What they did was they went back and they studied 3 teams from a year ago who had major turnarounds: Miami, Baltimore, and Atlanta. All playoff teams who had losing records the year before. And what they found was the key to turning things around was their ability to run the football. It helps you manage the game, control time possession, keep your defense rested, and that's why the running game was a major emphasis this offseason.
Under 6 minutes to go in the third. Cincinnati with a 13-7 lead. It's Johnson again. Breaks a tackle. And Johnson into Cleveland territory. It's a first down run of 8 yards for Larry Johnson, and the numbers have been impressive. Jason Trusnick took a whiff. And Larry Johnson now 10 carries, 66 yards.
And this is his style of offense. You know, you talk about the fact that he was lost a little bit with the system in Kansas City and how Todd Haley had changed things up. And he's better in a system like this. They run the ball downhill, the zone run scheme between the tackles, a team that wants to run the ball with power. Perfect situation for Larry Johnson.
Rodney Poole sustained a head injury. His return is questionable. Hand off, Johnson again, and that hole clogged up in a hurry as he carries to the 45 for a gain of 2. David Bowens in on the stop.
Boy, I really have liked the job that this guy right here, Bob Bretkowski, has done, the offensive coordinator. If he has to run it 50 times in a game, he'll do that. The other good thing is Carson Palmer, he's willing to do that as well. If he has to hand it all 50 times, a very unselfish player.
2nd and 8. Palmer throwing underneath. Connection made with Lavernius Coles. And Coles breaking to the outside. Out of bounds. Ocho Cinco with a block to help spring Coles for extra yardage. 19 yards and a first down for Cincinnati. And Indianapolis will have another divisional battle next week as they take on the Tennessee Titans. Will the Colts remain undefeated is the question. It's a kick for Johnson. Big hole. Johnson out across the 20-yard line. Boy, the Cincinnati offensive line continues to separate up front and create running room for Johnson.
Yeah, and he's a big back, and there's some big holes there. And you get a guy like Larry Johnson on the second level, and he's going to make you pay. And this begins to, you talk about time of possession. The defense is on the field a lot in this game. The offense has struggled. They begin to wear down late in games. It's been a reoccurring theme all season for the Browns.
He was averaging 2.9 yards per carry coming into today. And Larry Johnson today has 76 yards on 12 carries. And you can tack on some more as he brings some Browns defenders on his back for a 4-yard pickup. And they'll move the chains. You try to figure out the NFC East. Who would have thought Dallas would turn it around? And now at 8-3, and the Giants really struggling after that weak performance in Denver. On first down, handoff to Johnson. He gets stacked up and brought down right at the line of scrimmage. Corey Williams there to wrap him up. About a half-a-yard gain as they spot the football.
That's what you really want to do against a guy like Larry Johnson. You want to make sure you have good fits in that run defense, but make him bounce runs. Want to make a guy like Larry Johnson bounce runs to the edge where he's not as effective. You give him an opening, just a small little opening between those tackles, and boy, he can get 5 yards in a hurry.
2nd and long here for Cincinnati. They have a 13-7 lead. Running play, Johnson. Up the middle, just short of the 10-yard line for a 3-yard pickup. And fans getting antsy a bit.
And you know, nothing's more demoralizing as you stand on the sidelines, and I've been in this situation a lot in my career as a quarterback, as a coach. You stand there on the sidelines and you watch the opposing team continue to run the ball right down your throat, right down the middle of that defense. That takes the wind out of your sails. And again, we talk about not missed opportunities. That offense, that Cleveland offense, has to sit here and wait out the third quarter.
3rd and 6. 4 receivers set for Cincinnati. Palmer wants to throw it. Looks, fires, end zone, incomplete. Maurice Purify, the first-year wideout from Nebraska, and Mike Furry, the wide receiver, back there in the secondary.
Yeah, you're going to see him right here on the screen. The more you can do, and he's just playing a 2-deep coverage. They're very thin in the secondary. Nice job by Furry being in the right spot. Not giving up that touchdown.
Well, he hasn't been a factor as a receiver today, but there he is making a play as a defensive back. And a 28-yard field goal attempt now for Shane Graham. Huber will hold it. And Cincinnati extends the lead. 16-7 with 50 seconds to go. It's a rivalry that goes back to 1970. Cincinnati and Cleveland. Larry Johnson. Strong showing by Johnson. 1,750 yards and 1,789 yards in 05 and 06. He was one of the best running backs in the NFL. And that ball bounces out of bounds. So Cribbs wisely lets it roll.
Kickoff out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
And the Browns will have excellent field position. Cleveland Browns looking for back-to-back wins in Cincinnati for the first time since 02 and 03. They beat the Bengals here last year in September 20-12 when they forced 5 Bengals turnovers. Hand off to Jamal Lewis. And Lewis up the gut for 4. Tackle made by Chris Crocker for Cincinnati.
They've done a better job. They like this formation where they got Hank Fraley on the field. Some extra beef up front, using him as a tight end. Really nothing more than an extra tackle in that formation, but running Jamal Lewis up inside has really helped them get some things going here in the second half of the running game.
I know it's considered a no huddle, but it was almost like a semi-huddle with Quinn and the offensive lineman curved around it. Play fake. Quinn steps up, throws under duress, and incomplete. Too low for Massaquoi.
Yeah, that's a tough throw, and Brady Quinn really didn't have a lot of time in the pocket. That was rushed. And when you talk about the importance of footwork and timing and rhythm in the passing game, clearly Brady Quinn didn't have a lot of opportunities. You get back to the no huddle, though. Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, said 30 to 40% of the time we give Brady Quinn 2 plays at the line of scrimmage. So we give him some options. His job is to preview the front and the coverage and get us in the best play possible based on the look.
Quinn is 5 of 13, 44 yards, no touchdowns throwing, no interceptions. He does have the rushing touchdown. 3rd and 6 from the gun. Quinn, another low throw. Cribbs able to grab it, but it will be about a half a yard shy of a first down. And that's the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Well, you get back to this last throw. Look at location, how important it is on this throw. A better throw here by Brady Quinn. You see how Joshua Cribbs has to go all the way down to make a miraculous catch. A better throw, you put it out in front of him and use the boundary, and that's an easy 3rd down conversion. And you see right here, now Eric Mangini is left with a decision to make. Obviously, when you're 1-9, we talked about early, expect the unexpected. You have to take chances.
Now 4th down for Mangini. Cleveland Browns, first play of this 4th quarter. They need really inches for a first down. They need to get to the 50. Less than a half a yard separates the Browns and a new set of downs to work with. Cleveland has suffered 5 straight losses. And Mike Zimmer's defense with a challenge here.
Challenging the ruling on the play. 4th down.
Marvin Lewis was questioning that spot with Mike Carey.
I thought it was a good spot, a favorable spot for the Browns.
On 4th down.
Boy,
they'll shift out of position. 3 receivers to his right, 2 receivers to his left.
Quarterback sneak.
And Quinn forcing his way across midfield. It will be enough for a first down.
Good job making the adjustment by Cincinnati. They were not fooled. Boy, this is going to be close. I thought he got more of it. I thought that ball was over the line, but boy, they got to measure this. This one might be just a couple inches short.
Well, they got a favorable spot on the previous play.
Well, I'm looking at the change on this side, and well, it's going to be close.
They'll measure it.
I think he's got it. I got to pull that chain. Ooh. Got it by 6 inches. How about that, huh?
Well, remember,
it's a game of inches.
The drive started at the 40. All they had to do was get to the line. And he clearly got to the line. So the Browns' drive continues here with a 1st and 10 right at midfield. Hank Fraley again setting up in the backfield as a fullback.
They have to throw the ball out of this formation. They have not done it yet with Hank Fraley there. Keep an eye on Joshua Cribbs down the bottom of your screen.
Now the Bengals crowd the line, handoff to Lewis, and he keeps those legs moving out across the 45-yard line. It's a 6-yard gain for Jamal Lewis.
The big difference between last week and this week, when you look at the Browns offensively, is execution. Last week I thought it was as good as I've seen them all season. Today, though, boy, they've been out of rhythm. And, you know, you look at the passing game, not a lot of big plays there, not a lot of production. The difference here in the second half has been their ability to run the ball.
2nd and 4 for the Browns. Just underway in the 4th quarter. Cincinnati with a 16-7 lead. Lewis again, and unable to find an opening. It's a 1-yard gain. Fanene over there. And Mike Zimmer gave a lot of credit to Fanene when we met with him yesterday. He said that Fanene practices the way that he plays. It's not always pretty when he gets to the quarterback, but he just never stops. Fanene now in his 5th year out of Utah.
Yeah, he'll make it an all-day deal for that offensive line. He's done a really nice job, as you said, Ian, filling in for Antoine Odom. A career high already, 5 sacks.
Third and 3. Stuckey, the motion man. Moving pocket. Quinn sets and throws. Incomplete. Massaquoi, the intended receiver.
Boy, just not on the same page. You can see Massaquoi there and Brady Quinn. Well, this isn't even close. Boy, another wasted opportunity. They got the ball at the 40-yard line. Just watch Massaquoi here. Watch where this ball ends up. He's clearing. He's not even expecting a back shoulder throw. And that's just the young receiver, the rookie receiver, and a quarterback not being on the same page.
So after all that, Cleveland is forced to punt. Reggie Hodges with Quan Cosby waiting. Cosby will let this one bounce, and it ends up in the end zone. Touchback. 65,000 on hand here at Paul Brown Stadium, with the Bengals leading at 16-7, 13:05 to go in the 4th quarter, and the Bengals take over at the 20. Well, not going away from what got them to this point. It's a run to Larry Johnson. Taba Rubin.
Carson Palmer just 11 of 19 for 89 yards. And
Second and 10. Coates, the motion man. Looking to throw. Palmer steps up. He gets rid of it, and too high. Ocho Cinco, the intended target. Abram Elam supplied the pressure on Carson Palmer.
Well, they've done a nice job, and again, it gets back to what happened in the first half. And Carson Palmer has not really been able to set his feet. Had a 7-man protection there, and again, the Browns doing a good job getting upfield, really forcing him to move around. You see Corey Williams there, and David Bowens. They've done a nice job getting pressure off the edge.
3rd and 10 now for the Bengals. Palmer straight back. On the move. And Andre Caldwell. Terrific grab by Caldwell along the sideline for 13 yards, working against the veteran Hank Poteet.
Boy, nice job here. Great concentration on the boundary. Look at this. Talk about using the boundary. Good concentration there by Andre Caldwell. Boy, look at him extend for that ball. And that's what I talked about earlier in this quarter about the quarterback using the boundary, throwing the ball out in front, getting him in the transition of the run, but you can't throw it behind him. Very difficult for those receivers when they're going full speed to make those type of catches.
Give to Larry Johnson. He got slowed down from behind. Sean Rogers. And that first down allows Cincinnati to use more clock. Very close to another horse collar by Rogers, the Pro Bowler last year.
Well, I tell you, he can be a real difference maker for that defense. I mean, very disruptive in the middle, not only in the running game because he gets such great push and penetration, but in the passing game as well. Doesn't get a lot of sacks, but he gets push on the pocket and really creates a lot of opportunities out on the edges for some of those other guys on that defensive line.
It's been nearly a year for Larry Johnson going over 100 yards. He's got a chance to do it here. And Johnson is thrown down just short of the 40-yard line. Rogers again in on that play. It's a 5-yard gain for Johnson. He's got 90 yards, 18 carries.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how they work this rotation when Cedric Benson comes back next week. And it's important to get Cedric Benson back in the flow of things and get him his carries. But boys, it's a nice situation to have a guy like Larry Johnson who can come in a moment's notice and take the ball 15, 20 times and get some production.
Yeah, Benson was on his way to a 1,500-yard season and a Pro Bowl in the AFC until the injury, the hip flexor. 3rd and 4. Shotgun. And Palmer unable to make the connection to Lavernius Coles. And Cincinnati's drive stalls as Furry is again out there defensively. Number 87. Used to play defense. If you go back in his career, Mike Furry, formerly with St. Louis and Detroit. He's played free safety before. This guy that played in the XFL, played in the Arena League, now in his 7th year in the NFL.
I think it makes sense. You know, I'm surprised you don't see more teams in situations where they get short a little bit, putting a receiver back there. These guys understand angles, they understand coverages, they understand the passing game, so it makes perfect sense to have a player like that back and help in your back end.
Not a lot of offense today in Cincinnati. Bengals lead at 16-7. Browns have 118 total yards. Set up the screen for Cribbs, and he's bottled up. Nice play by Morgan Trent, the rookie out of Michigan, sliding over to help out. It's a 1-yard gain through the air. Under 10 minutes to go now in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and as you said, Ian, under 10 minutes to go, and you're in a 2-score game. So this is a critical drive for Cleveland. They have to find a way to get some points on this drive. Starting to run out of opportunities late in this game.
Browns are 1-8 in their last 9 road games. Their only victory of the season came on the road in Buffalo, 6-3. Quinn, short drop, incomplete. Cribbs, the intended receiver.
And again, when you're missing easy 3-step throws like this, it tells me that the receiver and the quarterback are not on the same page. And this is disappointing. And, you know, you look at the production that they had last week, and then you come out here today. That's not good. Not good. They had a great week last week, and today they've come out, they've looked very sloppy. See, 17% on 3rd down conversions. It's got to be down the bottom of the league.
And a flag down. This isn't going to make it easier.
73, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Well, that 17% is on 3rd and longs for the Cleveland Browns offense. It's bad either way. Normal 3rd down percentage and 3rd and anything plus 8 or above. They haven't been able to convert. Meanwhile, Cincinnati has been the best in the NFL on 3rd and longs, 39% this season for the Bengals.
So you suggest I should look at the whole graphic next time. Just 29% on 3rd down conversions. You're right, though, Ian. Not good enough, and they hurt themselves. Penalties, missed assignments, mental errors. They don't give themselves a chance.
Shotgun. Quinn gets rid of it in a hurry. And guess what? The Bengals get to Cribbs in a hurry. Chris Crocker leading that charge.
They're just not good enough to overcome the mistakes. You know, last week was the first time all season they had a game where they didn't have an offensive turnover. And that's been a problem. You look at the turnover ratio for this football team, there are -11 coming in. Just not playing smart football. And the other thing, not putting it together in all 3 phases of the game.
Reggie Hodges out of his own end zone. And a good punt for Hodges. Quan Cosby catches cleanly at the 43, makes his move upfield and into Cleveland territory. Cincinnati Bengals interaction at 7-3, trying to bounce back after the 20-17 loss in Oakland. Bernard Scott has returned to the field. Scott's been effective as well. 16 carries, 76 yards. They have 184 yards rushing. And Scott sliding through a tight opening and then banged down hard Cameron Wembley. He whiffed on the play and he's still down. He's hunched over. 6-yard gain for Bernard Scott. Indianapolis trying to remain undefeated in a tight one against the Houston Texans. Cincinnati trying to get some separation between themselves and the Chargers and the New England Patriots. Steelers are at 6-4. Denver's in the wild card hunt.
I'll tell you what, don't count out Tennessee. They've won 4 in a row. They're a new football team with Vince Young under center. Miami, big win the other night. So there's some teams down there that still have a chance, but I'll tell you, this is going to be some interesting football the next 5 weeks here.
Cameron Wembley, he was down on the play, and now he's up walking off on his own. 4th-year defensive player out of Florida State. Edge pass rusher for this Cleveland defense, and Alex Hall will step in to replace him. Cincinnati will face a 2nd and 4. 8:29 to go in this 4th quarter.
Now, the run defense has been a huge problem today for the Browns. You look at the production for Cincinnati, 190 yards already on the ground in this ball game, and that'll make a defensive coordinator sick.
Now it's Mayava who has stepped in to replace Wembley. Handoff. Scott turns the corner. Boy, this Bernard Scott has got legitimate ability. And a flag thrown on the play.
Holding. Offense number 63. 10 yards, still 2nd down.
This run's coming back. Bobby Williams called on the hold.
Well, he's not happy about it either. They never agree with the officials. You ever notice that? These offensive linemen with holding penalties, they never raise their hand like they do in basketball.
Yeah, basketball players agree with officials. You think it's just the offensive linemen who don't agree with officials?
Well, specifically as it relates to holding penalties. These guys do not like holding penalties.
Really?
They don't like being signaled out during the broadcast.
They'd rather not have the number announced.
No.
2nd and 9. And Larry Johnson is in there from the gun. And Palmer throwing through the hands of Lavernius Coles. It's incomplete. It'll be 3rd and long. Oh, they just keep finding ways. The Indianapolis Colts. Palmer throwing. And complete. He's got Caldwell very close to a 1st down. And from that initial spot, it looks just shy.
Well, they'll probably, they're not even going to measure it, are they? Calling it 4th down.
And Caldwell is limping off the field.
You know, it's been a little bit of a frustrating day for Carson Palmer. There's not a lot of opportunities. You know, it's difficult when you get in these games where you're running it so well. You run the ball on 1st down, you run the ball on 2nd down. Now all of a sudden you come up with a critical 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and you have to make a play. It's tough to get your rhythm. It's kind of been a back and forth kind of day for Carson.
Now they will measure it. Again, that initial look appeared to be short. And it is. By about the length of the football.
This is why you have Larry Johnson.
Well, it's 4th down. Palmer now with 110 yards passing, 13 of 24 and a touchdown. Ocho Cinco getting some words from Marvin Lewis. Offense will stay on the field on 4th and less than a yard.
Well, you got to feel good about this offensive line. They have dominated the line of scrimmage throughout this game. You have to feel pretty good about your chances of picking up six inches.
Johnson in the backfield. They are 8 of 12 on the season on 4th down conversions.
Just hand it to this guy and let him go right downhill.
No, it's going to be Palmer. And a first down, but a penalty marker down.
Start. Offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty till 4th down.
Now that changes everything. J.P. Fauci.
Absolutely no reason for it. You're the end man on the line of scrimmage. You have a quarterback sneak.
And the Bengals will punt it. So instead of keeping this drive going with 6:59 to go, using up another 2-3 minutes potentially, the door is open slightly, but it's still open for the Cleveland Browns.
And the one thing that the Bengals have done a really nice job of today is not let this guy be a difference maker. You really got to tip your hat to the job that Kevin Huber has done kicking the ball away from Josh Cribbs.
And Cribbs, fair catch. Now they call Paul Brown Stadium the jungle, and the fans trying to play a role here. Brady Quinn and the Browns with a 1st and 10. Quinn on a soft toss for Lawrence Vickers and a modest gain on 1st down as he's touched up by Brandon Johnson, picks up 2 yards through the air.
Well, I've really been impressed with this Cincinnati defense today. And as you look at some of the passing leaders today, boy, Aaron Rodgers, he has had a Pro Bowl year for the Packers. There's Ricky Williams. About Ronnie Brown. Shouldering more of the responsibility and the workload there in Miami, and Miles Austin becoming Tony Romo's favorite target on the perimeter in Dallas.
2nd and 8 for Quinn. The pocket holds up. Incomplete. It was offline to Michael Gaines, and it stops the clock with 6:04 to go in the 4th quarter. As impressive as Brady Quinn looked against the Detroit Lions, it's been a 180 here this afternoon against the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
Yeah, and you know, that was the thing that Eric Mangini talked about. Are they a one-hit wonder, or can they come back the following week and put up another strong effort? And this is really what we've seen from the Browns most of the season, this inconsistent play, and yet we thought maybe that they could build on last week's performance. They have not been able to do that today.
Right now, they have been aha.
That's right.
One-hit wonder. Quinn.
Take on me.
Mike Furry, tremendous video. Morgan Trent with the hit, and it's a 9-yard gain. It's enough for a 1st down.
Did like that video, by the way.
Oh, you did. That wasn't
I
a
did.
didn't. Yeah.
I did like that video.
That was an award winner.
Well, you know, if you're Brady Quinn, all you can do, again, these are opportunities. You got 5 minutes left in the game. Take your offense down the field, put together a good drive, and get some points. Building blocks.
5.5 to go in the 4th now. Quinn looking. Quinn throws. And it's Harrison hauling it in, but Tahani Jones was all over it. You know, what a story if you think about Tahani Jones. His NFL career was very much up in the air. The Bengals just took a flyer on him back in '07, and he's turned out to be one of the major leaders of this defense.
Yeah, leading tackler, very intelligent player. He really gets them lined up. A great communicator at that middle linebacker position.
On 2nd down for Quinn, stepping up, throwing the deep ball, and nobody home, but a flag down. Mohamed Massaquoi in a matchup with Leon Hall.
Well, you look at this defense, and Mike Zimmer told us at the beginning of the season, says we're not going to be a good defense unless our 2 young corners play well, and they've really done that this year. And you see Mike Zimmer right there.
Illegal contact. Defense, number 29. 5-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
Boy, this guy has done an unbelievable job. Obviously, a very traumatic season for him. He lost his wife, Vicky, earlier in the year, and he's just been a real inspiration to everyone here in Cincinnati, particularly these players. They love playing for Mike Zimmer.
Well, he said that Hall has just been excellent throughout the season. Joseph has been tougher this year than in years past. His maturity has come through. And the Browns, after the penalty, with a 1st down. Rush coming. Quinn gets rid of it, and it's too high. In the area of Greg Astandia. Morgan Trent again coming on a blitz as the Bengals continue to dial that up.
No, they've done a nice job here in Cincinnati putting this whole thing together. You see they show pressure, they bring pressure off the edge. Brady Quinn again sees it late. Doesn't have a quick answer throw, but you think about how they've done this thing. 23 new players from a year ago on this roster in Cincinnati. Only one player remains from the team that Marvin Lewis inherited in 2003. That's Chad Ochocinco. And the average age, 3.7 years of experience. One of the youngest teams in football.
Under 5 minutes to go. Quinn gets rid of it quickly. In stride, Chancey Stuckey. And Stuckey out across the 35-yard line. That's an 11-yard gain and a new set of downs for Brian Daboll's offense to work with. 4:28 and counting left in this fourth quarter.
Well, a number of players, Stuckey being one of them, obviously, that had come over from the New York Jets. A lot of familiarity there with Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, and Eric Mangini.
Quinn, incomplete. And a collision there between Massaquoi and Leon Hall. 2nd and 10.
Oh, the film doesn't lie. The more you watch this Cincinnati defense, they are a very physical unit. You can see Leon Hall right here. You have to be precise. These are easy throws for the quarterback, and boy, you just can't hang out your receiver like that. You can't throw it on their back shoulder. Brady Quinn, his accuracy today, to me, has been a concern. Not good enough.
Second and 10. Quinn pump. Quinn. Deep ball. And nobody there. Out of bounds. Closest man was Derek Anderson, the former starter at quarterback.
And again, we've seen this a number of times today between Mohamed Massaquoi and Brady Quinn. Watch here. He's thinking that he's going to the boundary. Brady Quinn thinks he's going downfield. Just not on the same page. I'll tell you, it's hard to make first downs in the National Football League. It's even more difficult to win games, but you give yourself no chance when you don't communicate and you're not on the same page in the passing game.
142 yards of offense for the Browns. There was movement there from the Bengals, but Quinn hadn't called for the football yet. Here comes the rush. Quinn. Rainbow. Incomplete, too far for Massaquoi. Jonathan Joseph there, step for step. So they tried the deep ball like they did a week ago. They cashed in on some deep balls against Detroit. That just hasn't been the case here today.
Yeah, but you have to give them a chance. Watch where this one's thrown. This is overthrown by a good 5 yards. You got to give the receiver a chance. You have a height advantage there. Give him a chance. Let him go up and make a play on the boundary.
Massaquoi at 6'2", Joseph 5'11". Reggie Hodges will punt it. He's been busy. Quan Cosby standing at the 20-yard line. High sailing kick. Cosby from the 11. He got stamped but kept on going. And across the 20-yard line to the 24, a 51-yard punt and a 12-yard return. I don't think there were any flags. There were some towels on the field. Oh, there's one. Yep, at the 40.
Ineligible member of the kicking team downfield, number 94. Cincinnati is elected to take it at the dead ball spot, 5 yards, first down.
Eric Mangini's team, 1-9. Going back to last year, the Browns have dropped 14 of their last 15 games. Romeo Crennel was the head coach. This is a team that went 10-6 in 2007. And then the free fall in 08 to 4-12. And 4 wins will be very hard to come by here in 09.
You know, it's no fun. I've been in this situation where you have to sit up there at the podium at the end of games and answer questions. It's not easy for guys like Eric Mangini and Brady Quinn. You're not playing well. You'll be 1-10, and difficult to stand there and answer the tough questions week in and week out.
Well, we know what Cincinnati's going to do. They'll keep it on the ground. Larry Johnson wrestled down Matt Roth. He could turn out to be quite a pickup for this Cleveland team down the road. Major talent. Still not exactly sure what happened with Miami. He had a knee injury. He was dealing with that. But the Dolphins were so high on this kid a year ago.
And you just see the frustration there from Joshua Cribbs. And
well, it's a helpless feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's no fun. You put a lot of work and a lot of effort goes into each of these games, a lot of preparation to come out and to not play well, particularly what they have not done offensively. It is frustrating. You feel like you only have 16 opportunities during the course of the season. As I always tell people, you either get a passing grade or a failing grade. There's no A for effort. You just and it's very frustrating.
Cleveland uses a timeout, stops the clock with 3:44 remaining in the fourth. Johnson stays in the backfield on a 2nd and 10. Passing numbers have been pedestrian and really unnecessary because Cincinnati's been so effective on the ground. Johnson up the gun. Shaun Rogers down on that play.
You know, you look at this rivalry, this Bengals-Browns. Bengals have won 9 of the last 11 times these two teams have met. And I think the big reason why is stability at the quarterback position. You look at the production that they've had here in Cincinnati with Carson Palmer. You look at all the turnover that the Browns have had. Look at all the different starters that they've had in the last couple of years. And boy, stability at the quarterback position really goes a long way in the National Football League.
Now, Cleveland has lost a number of defensive players this season. This would be a crusher. Shaun Rogers, the massive defensive tackle, 6'4", 350 pounds, collapses the pocket.
Boy, it's not a glamorous position, that nose tackle in that 3-4 front, but it's a critical position in that defense. And they ask him to do a lot. He's a two-gapper, plays the run well. Go back and look at this injury, and usually it's somebody falling on you that you don't anticipate. There, it's one of his own teammates, C.J. Mosley, coming in there, and boy, he gets leg whipped. Boy, you get all that pressure come down on that ankle or that knee, and boy, that is tough.
Yep. And they're bringing the card out for Shaun Rogers.
Yeah, that's tough. Tough positions to be in. You hate to see that, particularly late in a game like this. It's a big man up, anchors that front of that 3-4 defense.
And anybody we talked to with the Cincinnati Bengals, when you asked them about what they were facing defensively, Rogers was the first name that came up. You just don't get gaudy numbers at that position in the 3-4.
But that crew right there knows how important he is to that defense. And you know, you go back and look at the way he's played the last couple of weeks, and you're right, on every offensive staff that we talked to Carson Palmer last night, very concerned about Shaun Rogers in the middle of that defense. They said that they would have to use the cadence to kind of slow him down and try and run on the edge, the perimeter a little bit, to get him moving laterally early in the game. And of course, you know, try and mix in some screens and draws and other things to kind of take his edge off.
Now in his 9th year in the NFL, acquired in a trade with Detroit in 2008, the Texas product, and looked like an ankle injury as we saw the replay. 3rd and 7 now for Cincinnati. They've got a 16-7 lead. Clock is moving with 3:35 to play. Brian Leonard is in there. We know he's always a threat in the screen game. And Palmer operating from the gun. Motion man Fashi. Pitch for Leonard.
Boy, they weren't full at all.
Nope. They had bunched up in the backfield. Matt Roth, first man in pursuit. Turns out to be a 1-yard gain, and Cincinnati will punt it. Cleveland uses another timeout. Browns have 1 timeout remaining and the 2-minute warning. And they'll get the football back with 3:13 left. Well, for Cincinnati, if you're just going off the numbers, they have the 3rd easiest remaining strength of schedule. Pittsburgh Steelers, San Diego Chargers, a little bit more favorable, but we know the numbers are just the numbers. You still have to actually go out there and win games, and pivotal games for the Bengals to make the playoffs. But victory here will move them to 8-3 and in complete command in the AFC North.
Yeah, undefeated as you said earlier, Ian, for the first time in their history in the division, 6-0. Already beat Pittsburgh twice in Baltimore.
And the punt from Huber takes a Cincinnati roll. He could not have scripted it any better. Kept it away from Cribbs and also gets the benefit of a Bengals bounce. 48 yards. And the frustration for Cribbs is obvious. He never got a chance to be an impact player on special teams today.
Well, 223 yards in return yardage the last time they played, and Marvin Lewis said we're not going to give him an opportunity to be disruptive like he was last time. He kept him in the game last time. They struggled a little bit offensively. He made some big returns that really gave them some good field position where they were able to capitalize and score some points.
Ball spotted on the Browns' 19-yard line. Harrison in the backfield. Quinn, shotgun. Quinn, drop by Estendia. Third year out of UNLV, former Jacksonville Jaguar.
Boy, when it rains, it pours.
How about Eric Mangini? We sat down with him last night. What were your impressions of the Browns head coach?
Well, I think it's frustrating. I think the problem is when you don't see the results of all your hard work, I think you begin to question the direction and the leadership. You worry about that as a coach with the young football team. And the thing about Eric Mangini, though, I think he's really tried to take the time and explain why they do things a certain way and why it's important so that everyone understands, how they're going to get where they want to go. And it's a process. And this is a team that they had a lot of questions coming into the season. I don't think anyone anticipated they'd be 1-10 at this point, but
Quinn. And finds the open man. Estendia makes up for the drop with a catch out across the 40-yard line. 17 yards through the air.
Ryan, I think through it all, though, I think the staff is really finding out about these players. I think you find out a lot about people when adversity hits, when you go through tough times.
Holding, defense number 25 is declined. Play results, first down.
You see Marvin Lewis there. He's encouraging these players. You think about how they lost that game last week in Oakland. When they had that game under control and they wound up losing it in the last 2 minutes of the ball game. He doesn't want that to happen here again today.
Well, you said something funny over the weekend because you put the tape on from last week's game, watching Cincinnati and Oakland. You put the final minutes on, and you still just assume Cincinnati finds a way to win the game. You know the final result, yet you can't believe that Oakland was able to get a win. That's a drop by Jerome Harrison. The Oakland Raiders scored 10 points in the final 34 seconds to win the game.
Yeah, really, I was shocked. Carson Palmer, he was not happy about that last night when we sat down and visited with him.
Janikowski, a 33-yard field goal. The fumble kickoff return by Caldwell helped set it up. 2nd and 10. Jess got the snap off, and Dukwe was rushing, and Quinn is offline to Stuckey. 2:10 to play in the fourth quarter.
Boy, it's amazing how you can just go from one week to the next and things can be completely different. I went back and watched that Cleveland game against Detroit last week, and the timing and the rhythm and the footwork. Brady Quinn looked really good to me last week. I thought he looked like a different player, and yet I come here and watch him today, and boy, it just looks cloudy. He's missing throws. It looks like he's rushed. It looks like he's not comfortable in the pocket. Looks like he's not seeing out in front of throws, and that's the challenge in the National Football League, to be able to put performances together on back-to-back weeks.
Pass is complete to Stuckey, lost the football, and a scramble for it. It's still loose. Browns able to recover. Joshua Cribbs. Well, you wondered if last week was a breakthrough performance for Quinn and there would be some carryover into this week. Obviously going against a much better defense, Cincinnati, compared to Detroit. 1:59 to go, fourth quarter. Cincinnati with a 16-7 lead over Cleveland. There will be a challenge from Eric Mangini on the ruling on the field, which was a fumble from Chancey Stuckey. Stuckey had made the catch, And then the football was lodged loose. They lost a lot of yardage off the scramble. And Mangini wants the officials to take a look at it. Right now it goes down as a loss of 8 yards. Browns only have the 1 timeout remaining.
I think he was down.
Yeah, I think he was down too. Should have been ruled down. Brandon Johnson with the stick.
Well, Brandon Johnson has had a nice day, really nice day, in taking it over for Keith Rivers out with that calf injury. He's made a number of plays for that defense.
You might be looking at the clock and saying, why isn't it an officials review at 1:59? Well, the play actually happened prior to the 2-minute warning, so that means that the responsibility belongs to the coaches to challenge it. And because the Browns had the 1 timeout remaining, Mangini had the option. Browns are yet to have one overturned this season.
And just watch here. That shoulder's down.
Yeah, the elbow was
shoulder
down. To me, it should have been whistled dead.
Clearly, he has control of the ball. Yeah, that's not even close.
If this is taking a little longer, it's probably because Mike Carey has to figure out where they're going to spot the football. If he gets out of there quickly, then the determination would have been, well, it was a fumble, we move on. So the fact that this is lengthy indicates that the play will be overturned and the ball will be spotted where Stuckey brought it in and was tackled.
It's a very anxious feeling sometimes when you're in a tight game as a player, as a coach, waiting for that official to come from that area with the challenge.
After review, the receiver had clear control of the ball when his knee hit the ground. Therefore, it's 4th down, 6 yards to go. 5 yards to go on the 46-yard line. Cleveland is not charged with a team timeout.
So Eric Mangini wins the challenge. And they're still looking at a 4th down, but a 4th and makeable 5 yards for the Cleveland Browns. So they'll place the football at the 46. And the Browns is trying to stay alive here with 1:59 to go. They trail by 2 scores, so a lot more work left in front of them.
They need to pick up some big yards. I mean, big chunks of yards. These 5- and 6-yard checkdowns aren't going to get it done at this point in the game.
Yeah, this is a team that has only 169 yards of offense. 4th and 5. Cincinnati can end the game right here. Quinn throws incomplete. Robert Gathers applied the pressure. Massaquoi in the general vicinity, but that has been the story of the day between Quinn and Massaquoi. They just haven't been on the same page.
Yeah, they bring pressure. They don't even block Robert Gathers off the edge. And you know, when you study a guy like Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, at crunch time in a 2-minute situation after a clock stoppage, you just know that pressure is going to come. The Browns didn't do a very good job in that situation, anticipating the call from that guy right there, Mike Zimmer.
With 1:55 to play in the 4th quarter. Browns still have 1 timeout remaining. Cincinnati takes over as the Browns turn it over on downs. Larry Johnson in the backfield. Johnson at 93 yards rushing. You can go over 100. And Johnson gets thrown down at the 42-yard line by Eric Wright. And timeout called by the Browns. Jonathan Fanene, his family watching this game today in the American Samoa, and a 60 Minutes crew is there filming it for a future piece on Fanene. Talented guy with the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'll tell you, he's had a really nice, not only a nice game, but he's really played well this year for that defensive line.
And it's Cameron Wimbley down on the play. They have already lost Sean Rogers to an ankle injury.
You know, it's amazing. We've seen a number of injuries today from the Cleveland Browns, not a ton from Cincinnati. This Cincinnati offensive line, I'm telling you, they're the real deal. They get after you, they challenge you in the running game, they run downhill, they finish plays, they're very physical. I think it takes its toll on a defense.
1:48 left. Cincinnati with a 16-7 lead. And the Cleveland Browns will drop to 1-10 on the season. They have helped Wembley up, and he is limping off now to the Cleveland sideline. Now the future of this Browns team, all the talk of bringing in a man to oversee the football side of the team, a czar, as they say. Randy Lerner, the owner, and the future of Eric Mangini, signed a long-term deal. So the assumption would be that Mangini and his philosophies are here to stay, and he believes that he and Mr. Lerner share the same vision for the future of this organization.
Well, I think at some point they'll bring somebody in, whether it's, there's been some talks about Bill Parcells and guys like Mike Holmgren. Those names have been mentioned. And
Larry Johnson out across the 35-yard line. He has cracked 100 yards on the day. 108 for Johnson, the two-time Pro Bowler, and a new chapter in his NFL career. So Cincinnati improves to 8-3, 6-0 in the division. What a season for the Bengals as the Browns drop to 1-10, 0-5 in the AFC North.
you know, I go back to weeks 3 through 5. I thought it's a real turning point for this team where they orchestrated come from behind wins in the fourth quarter versus Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore. That was huge for that football team, and that's why they call them the Cardiac Cats. 7 of their 10 games have been decided in the final 2 minutes. No one better than Carson Palmer in those situations.
They limit the Browns to 169 yards of offense. Cincinnati certainly didn't have its best day offensively, but on the ground, dominant. 212 yards. That's without Cedric Benson out with the hip flexor.
I'll tell you, that's amazing. When you run the ball like that and you play good defense, that's the perfect formula for success.
One more snap. It's a clean sweep through the AFC North for the Cincinnati Bengals. They finished the season undefeated in the division for the first time in franchise history. 16-7 the final. Bengals over the Browns in the Battle of Ohio.